I decided to go back to this because this is honestly, the truth is, this is a game that I do actually rather enjoy. Despite that being a genre that I generally don't. I think I mentioned that during my initial playthrough of this video, but as I said, I will be redoing a bunch of the retro games now that I'm able to both record my voice and the game's audio, which is always nice. Therefore, it was essentially a matter of one or the other, or I could record the game audio, but my mic audio would always glitch out, and I had no idea how to fix it, so I just decided, you know what, I'd scrap the entire thing, and I'm doing it all over again. And in regards to this particular game, this is probably a good thing, because I must have accidentally either deleted or not hit the record button during one of my sessions because it was missing a part. I remember playing the part, I remember doing the part, I'm pretty sure I remember rendering the part, but it wasn't in my YouTube playlist, and when I checked both my videos and my recycling box, I couldn't find it. So perhaps it's a good thing that I need to redo this. After all, I actually do enjoy this game, so I don't mind redoing it, and I did get... How far did I get? Excuse me, but that felt good. Got relatively far in the game, but I also got to the point where I sort of needed to refresh my memory. Because anything after the... By the way, if you don't like spoilers, you're not going to like me because I tend to spoil a lot. Well, I got to anything pretty much after the sort of initial vampire fight, I was at a loss. Come on, where is it? You'll have to forgive me, I am playing a practice file of a JRPG, which I intend to do for this channel in the foreseeable future. And in that game, you run by pressing B. Maybe I need to go see Lola before I get the Acme. I could have sworn I could have gotten it beforehand, but then again, what do I know? I've only completed this game once in my life, and it was literally a sort of a once-through playthrough. In other words, I only played this game once in my life. So alas, I will be at a bit of a loss. My quest to remain positive is succeeding, but it's succeeding rather slowly. I essentially have to rewire my entire brain, my entire attitude. But I'm trying. And kinda succeeding. It's a bit hard to tell. Like, just exactly how do you measure something which doesn't necessarily show real results, you know? Alas, I am trying. And I'm pretty sure I'm actually succeeding. I don't know. But I think I am. I'm going to turn the audio up for this because I am missing the, okay, my audio wasn't on mute, but it's, like I find with my television and even my consoles, there are some games which have a quiet audio, so I have to turn it up, and there are other games which have a rather loud audio, so I have to turn it down. Not sure what's going on with it. For all I know, it could just simply be a sort of part of the design. And I don't know how relevant it is anymore because I don't really watch cable TV, but I do know as a kid watching television, the actual television show was a lot quieter than the actual commercials. And they do that to sort of force your attention to the commercials because, you know, that's where they make their money. And really, who wants to watch commercials? Actually, you'd be surprised. There used to be, I don't even know if they're still around anymore, but there used to be entire programs with nothing but commercials. Now they were not always sort of more or less local commercials. They'd be overseas and translated, and there was usually something funny, but there were actual on cable television shows of nothing but commercials, which I always found to be a bit of a joke. As then, of course, after the television show about commercials, their commercials, well, it was a show about commercials, which had commercials. Quite ridiculous, I tell you, but then again, what do you expect? But then again, people like ridiculous things. I like ridiculous things. Everyone has those silly pleasures. I refuse to call them guilty pleasures. I call them silly pleasures. If you like something, you don't have to feel guilty about it. So last, I don't know. It was kind of the YouTube before the internet was even a thing, I guess. It's out in America's Funniest Home Videos. Which I don't even know if that show is still on anymore, and if it is, why is it? Well, I guess, you know, people will always want to win the money. Well, it's really not a matter of which video or which person wins the money. It's a matter of who's actually going to watch America's Funniest Home Videos when you pretty much have YouTube for the price of the internet connection. Generally speaking, YouTube's free. And you can find all sorts of, I guarantee you can find all sorts of videos belonging, which will normally be on America's Funniest Home Videos, which gets out on YouTube for free now. Which kind of makes America's Funniest Home Videos obsolete. But oh well. Like I said, I don't really watch cable anymore. I have a Netflix account. I rarely use it. The truth of the matter is, the only reason I even got a Netflix account was more for my mother's sake. She lives alone. She doesn't have a computer. She has a tablet. So I got the Netflix account for her to mooch off me, essentially, is what I'm saying. I am paying for Netflix for the benefit of somebody else. I don't know, I don't know what's happened to me, but I find it very difficult to sort of pay attention to most television or movies nowadays. I don't know why. Something changed. I used to like television and movies, not so much anymore. I don't think it's because of declining quality. I really don't. I think it's more to the fact that I've always preferred video games and reading. Yet I don't say reading to try and sound like some sort of snob. I actually do prefer reading over watching anything. Like video games and reading are pretty much my primary forms of entertainment. In regards to movies anyways, I refuse to believe that movies have gotten this stale now. Flat out refuse to believe it because every time I drive past the movie theater, it's sort of always the same newest comic book movie, newest sequel of or remake or prequel of a movie that was popular well over 15, 20 years ago, if not more. Actually, well over 30 years ago. Because I keep forgetting it's 2019. I still think of 10 years ago as being the 90s. Now 20 years ago is the late 90s. And we're talking remakes of things like Police Academy is apparently getting a sequel or a prequel or a remake. And we don't need another Police Academy movie. The first movie was funny. We didn't need any more after that. And how many were there? 5? Do we really need a 6 or a remake? I refuse to believe Hollywood is out of new ideas. I flat out refuse to believe. Excuse me, I feel a burp coming on. Come on. Well, it wasn't impressive, but it felt good. But anyways, I refuse to believe that Hollywood is out of new ideas. What I do believe is that, generally speaking, Hollywood refuses to support new ideas. They don't want to take any risk anymore. They're all about the money. They're all about the quantity, not the quality anymore. And I mean, releasing the same movie, just a different format, over and over and over again. Whether it be, bearing in mind, I've never seen any of these movies, but whether it be a new Avengers movie or a, I don't know, remake or prequel, sequel of a I don't know, Terminator, Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. No matter how bad those movies are, people will watch them. If for no other reason than the nostalgia factor. So they're guaranteed to make money, even if it's a bad movie. And Hollywood is all about some money. I guess there used to be a time, I don't know if it was probably before my time, where Hollywood actually cared about quality entertainment. But it seems that time is long, long past. And I am probably going to get a lot of flack for saying this. But to a kind of lesser extent, I am seeing the same shit happen to the video game community as well. Do we really need another Resident Evil remake of an old Resident Evil game? Do we really need Final Fantasy VII remade? I don't even have Resident Evil 2, the remake of Resident Evil 2. And that was the original Resident Evil 2 was my favorite Resident Evil game. That's something I'm going to wait for a price drop for, a significant price drop. Because let's be honest, Resident Evil is already kind of a flooded franchise. We have so many of them, and now they're remaking old games. Like, you gotta understand, if I have the original game, I won't even buy the HD or high definition version, or even to a lesser extent the remade but still essentially the same game version if I have a playable version of the original game. Fancy graphics don't impress me that much. If I have the original game, I'm not going to be buying the same game over again. Despite my concerns with Skyrim, I do like Skyrim. I have the Game of the Year or whatever edition of Skyrim with all the downloadable DLC. And Skyrim is a Western RPG, which is generally my preferred game. I can play Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, Daggerfall, Arena, especially Daggerfall. I can play those games and only those games for months and never get bored. And when Bethesda released HD edition of Skyrim, do you think I bought it? No. What am I going to do with an HD high definition version of Skyrim for the PS4 when I already have it for my PlayStation 3? Play with the mods. If I gave a damn about some mods, I will have gotten it on PC. I don't even have an HD edition of Skyrim because it's the same game. It just looks prettier. And I guarantee you I'll barely be able to notice the difference anyways. I guarantee I'll be able to barely notice the difference anyway, so what's the point? I don't see the reasoning behind buying the exact same game with just a prettier format. Even if it's much more prettier format. I did not grow up with Crash Bandicoot. I kind of came into the PlayStation a bit late, I think at least. I know Crash 1 was a launch game. And I just was never a big fan of those kind of 3D platforming games, so I didn't bother playing Crash Bandicoot when I was young. But if I were to buy Crash Bandicoot, I'd probably buy them off the PlayStation Network, the original games, and not the Crash Bandicoot Rebooted Edition. And I mean, let's be honest. The graphics in the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy are archaic. The HD version, it's not an HD version, it's essentially an entire remake. But if I ever wanted the Crash trilogy, I will see which game is cheaper and go from there. I do not need that beacon improvement over graphics to enjoy what is essentially a retro game. But I also understand why they do these too, why they make high definition or entire remakes but the exact same gameplay of retro classic games. Or at least I have an idea why they do it, and it's so that people will actually play them. Because let's be honest, people always have intentions of going back and playing these beloved classic games, whether it's a game they grew up with, or whether it's a game that they want to play now but is on an older console. It's a little bit why I understand why they didn't bother making the consoles backwards compatible. Because a lot of people have the intention of playing these old beloved classic games. And they don't even need to be that old. They could be literally the previous generation. You may very well even still have the console hooked up to your TV because it's still an overall relevant console despite it being outdated. Like your Xbox 360, like your PS3. The problem is with all these new games being released, people want to play something new versus something old, and I really don't blame them. It's, in a sense, basic psychology. You'd rather play something new and updated versus something old and, even if it's enjoyable, essentially outdated. So I understand why they do the HD collections of these games. Because people would rather buy the HD collection and play the somewhat updated version of an older game than play the actual older game. It gives the illusion that it's fresher, it's newer. And yeah, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. As I said, I can barely tell the difference between most HD and most of the classic games in regards to, let's say, something like Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2 and 3 have an HD version. I don't have any of them yet. But I mean, I don't even see the difference between the PlayStation 2 version and the PlayStation 3 HD version of a PlayStation 2 game. I really don't. But I understand why they do it. They do it so that people, they're more or less giving people an excuse to play an older game. Because that's what people need. They need an excuse to play an older game versus the newest, latest, greatest thing. I guarantee you with Red Dead Redemption 2 being as popular as it is, and I just completed that game not that long ago, but I guarantee you now that that game is completed, people are want to go back and play the original Red Dead Redemption. I played the original Red Dead Redemption. It's a great game. But unless they find it in, well, even if they do find it in the bargain bin or at their local video game store where they sell used games, even if they find it and buy it, they're probably not gonna play it for a while. Just saying. They're probably so caught up with Red Dead 2, and even if they do complete Red Dead 2, well, I don't know, there are other games that are like the newest Resident Evil 2, which they're probably distracted with right now. Maybe they're distracted with, gee, I don't know. I don't even know what new games are out anymore. That's how little I know about it. Octopath Traveler, which is even a big game. But saying that, back to my original argument that Hollywood is running out of new ideas. In regards to the video game industry, just simply the way it sort of exists nowadays, with everything being digital. Even if the main AAA publishers and developers will simply not take great risk in trying anything new, there is always the indie scene. So in regards to video games going stale, like, again, did we really need the Secret of Mana remake? But in regards to video games going stale, just due to the new digital age and everything being bought electronically and the indie scene of video games, and plus the lesser known, not as big developers kind of making things, which was great back during the card days, but nowadays smaller publishers do get pushed away by the big ones. But anyways, almost lost my train of thought. In regards to the video game industry, there is always going to be something new. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and bye.